So I'm gonna call the budget meeting to order.
Pretty tired of it.
Roll call, are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Andrew.
Here.
Paige.
Here.
Den. Denker.
Here. Dunkirk.
Krieger.
Here.
Iverson.
Here.
Sorensen here, and Jonathan should be here in about 5 minutes. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda for the budget hearing.
I make a motion to approve the agenda for the,
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Mark. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn the public hearing to the regular monthly meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn our public hearing for the budget and adjourn to the regular monthly meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
second.
Read that one. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, we will call a regular monthly meeting of the third district quarter at 6:52 p.m. Vandenbrink,
Here.
Page,
Here.
Denker,
Here.
Krieger,
Here.
Iverson,
Here.
Gatsky,
Here.
Sorensen, here. Okay, I messed up the agenda. I did not put the budget down to discuss or approve, so we will be scheduling another meeting this month. And you'll also notice that there are SOPs on your desk, and that is not on the agenda either. So with that.
Take them home and read.
Take them home and read them so that we can zip through it when we have our next meeting. With that, is there a motion to approve the sad little agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Thank you, Gary and Jonathan. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, public comment, we'll get you later. Okay, secretary's report for September. I think that's one I could not print. Thank you.
That's it, that one.
Looks like you need a toner.
Me probably. It's looking hard today.
A motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Can I make a change? It should be interim deputy chief quarters.
Oh, yeah, that would be.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes as corrected?
I'll make a motion to approve this, correct?
Thank you, Jonathan, is there a second?
Or,
Thank you. Any further discussion or thoughts? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okey-dokey, treasurer's report. Whether you, she's given you the bills. I couldn't print out the year-to-date stuff either. Hey, computer people, if you get a new souped up computer, it's too souped up for an old printer.
I had this issue at my house as well. Microsoft seemed to have broken all of my printers. So get rid of Microsoft, it's my recommendation. Yeah, it got me too.
Okay, I was wondering what I was doing, because I can,
So for coming up to it.
so I've already reviewed these when I signed them, so, does anybody have any questions? Are the new computers on here?
No, they, got charged to the credit card, so it'll be on next.
Okay, do you wanna explain why we have those?
Sure, Mark, do you want to explain why we have those?
Sure. The district was sorely in need of new computers because the ones they were having were reaching end of support. And there was a little bit of budget left over in the office equipment line. And I went deal hunting and was able to source 6 computers within the budget for this year's equipment, which handily replaced the 5 that needed replacement and should set us up for the next 2 to 3 years. So we can put that on the budget and
Well, yeah.
it can get 1 or 2 changed in the next 2 or 3 years, and then we'll be on a nice schedule.
What's 6 computers cost?
Cost us $900.
Huh?
Cost us $900.
$900, which is an extremely good deal. Retail would have been $900 per.
I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I
Well, I just bought one on sale, it was $700.
Yes.
That was a laptop,
Yep.
so,
So,
and that was a sale price.
Yes.
so, but that, you'll see that on next month's.
Thank you.
They're pretty much all set up. Cooper's been working on those.
And then Cooper and his assistant are keeping track of the hours that they are working and how much money we're saving by having those things done in-house. So that when we look at the budget next year for wages, we can compensate them more fairly.
And just keep track of where we're allocating and doing well or not doing so, depending on what it is. Yeah.
Are there any other questions about, we have the bills and applied payments. Where are we short? We're at 80% of revenues. And we're short,
Some
Fire calls.
And the city, I got their for the 2% dues. So I just haven't, that hasn't been put in, hasn't been passed yet.
okay. And do you see any big expenditures coming up between now and the end of the year?
Hopefully not.
Nope, yeah, we're hoping not.
Nothing breaks.
Yeah.
Any questions for Heather or Chief Alex? Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll make the motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Jonathan. Any further discussion? And just like basically,
I was wondering if you wanted a quote to check on our insurance. Because I know that,
that's gotta be done in the spring. Let's do that in the spring.
so well, somebody's gonna have to come in. It's gonna take
Yeah, and that's why we need to do it in the spring because it's already pretty late. So, let's, well, I might not be able to have to, so whoever's here. Because we can go up for bids. What does the city use for insurance? Yeah, they're not local.
Like your tax guy.
So, Farm Bureau has insurance, and
Yeah,
they do a lot of municipalities.
so we could get, several quotes. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, do we have any donations?
No,
Let's have a look.
I had to think.
Oh, okay.
No, I had to go through it.
Chief's report, September calls for service.
$25 for the month.
Now, Heather and I were talking about why your calls are down, and you're not having to do lift assists twice a week for one person,
That's probably the
because that's a lot.
list assistant down there.
Yeah.
I see this month you had rapid response.
Two, yeah, we just needed the 51 to go check out something, so.
And you can see down here below how many members are on. And then what we participated in. Touch a Truck, a couple of those we did. One of them was for the National Night Out with the PD. And we were down at Tyson at grand opening. And we are 86 calls down this time last year.
Those are the assists too.
Right, I think it's the reoccurring lift assist that we had last year.
Question, Gary?
Where'd the dump truck go?
Northeast asphalt. We were dumping a load off and it shifted and took the trailer over and tractor. He was fine, he crawled out of it. Any questions on the monthly report for calls? Moving on to fire inspections, I talked with Heather the other day, there's approximately 60 left. We should have no problem getting them done by the 1st, before the 1st, correct?
Yep.
1st of November, I believe they have to be done by then.
Well, yeah, because they need them put on the tax rolls.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I have to have the report down to Naomi by the 1st. So, as soon as I have it done, she'll get it.
Great, thank you.
Moving on to action, there's 2 hires, which would be an action item. We did interview gentlemen, Chloe and Laura, I'll review Ellen over there and Heather. I want to make a motion that we,
You're gonna ask, if you're gonna recommend
There
hiring
you
them
go.
and then somebody's got
I'm
Nice
going
try.
to recommend that we hire this gentleman. I think he'd be great for the department. He's going to be an on-call or a paid daytime guy. So he'll be in the area here during the day. I'm looking for
a motion.
What's the name?
His name is Justin Bird.
I'll make a motion that we hire Mr. Bird.
Is there a second?
That's
We're gonna give it to
good. John needs it.
John. Any questions or comments?
Does it come with certifications?
Yes.
Yes, lots of them.
He's an interesting candidate because he's already on the Red Granite Fire Department, but he's looking to advance his career by working in a larger department and eventually become an officer and maybe someday a chief. Any other questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
We have another one.
You have another?
We have the apprentice.
Oh, go
Because
ahead.
he does get paid. So, the apprentice, his name is Ray Ellis. And, he's a Ripon High School student. He, is currently right now, Moraine Park started this new program where you can go to fire school your senior year of high school. So right now he's in firefighter 1. And, he'll be firefighter 1 certified by December, and then in January he'll start EMT. And then when he gets done with that, he can go straight into the 2-year program at the technical college. And so he asked if he could do an apprenticeship here and through CISA 6.
And this is the person we discussed at the last month's meeting.
Yeah, so we just need to, because he does get paid to be here during the day.
So you would like a motion to hire Ray Ellis as an apprentice firefighter.
I'll make a motion
Thank you,
to
Mark.
hire Ray Ellis as an apprentice.
For a second?
I'll second.
Snooze, John.
Any further questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Updates on equipment / maintenance, action if needed. I don't really think,
Don't need anything right now?
No.
Let's mark that in the minutes.
Pretty much everything that was sold on the Wisconsin surplus has been picked up. We've got one item left,
And I think that's the next agenda item.
so. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's a
I was
segue.
trying to get it
Oh,
segue.
yeah, let's slide right into that.
Yeah.
Disposal of equipment. So yes, like Heather did say, we sold everything. There's 2 things out in the garage actually that need to be picked up yet. Small things, so one was $25 and one was $35 left up there.
So what was the total amount of money brought in?
Did
9,000 some odd dollars.
did you get the check yet?
Yeah, I got it, yesterday. It's like 9,200, I mean, I can go get it if you.
No, just.
It's like $9,243 and some odd cents,
Okay,
so
good job.
What'd you get for the truck?
$5,051.
It's going to.
It's going to, it made it to New York,
Yep, New York.
and it's gonna be on a boat going down to the Dominican Republic to help their fire department out down there. So it'll get
Makes you
used.
feel better.
Yep,
Yeah, he was very impressed with it.
yeah,
Said we kept good care of it, so.
yeah. And then when I posted the video of it leaving the fire station for the last time, he commented on that and said, he goes, I love driving this thing, it runs like a dream, blah, blah, blah. He was almost to New Jersey by the time. Yep. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, if you drove her out there, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was on it, taking it out and.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else with disposal of equipment? Okay, Chief Boone.
Well, we have been working on quite a list of items. I completed a engine, driver skills for Coop to be able to start working with some of the drivers, so he'll have a skill sheet that they can check off, potential new drivers as they, progress into the department. I'm working on the ladder truck skill sheets now. We've all been working on SOGs and SOPs, as you was a handful here tonight, but we continue to work on those, and of course the goal is to get through all of them and have them approved. Working on developing a training calendar for 2026. Completed the hose testing book, so I wanted to have a book that when hose testing starts, they can pull the book, has a list of all our hose, all numbered. They're all numbered, so we know which size that number's from. It's better for budgeting and knowing which ones have, need to be replaced, in the future. Can kind of track and see which truck it's on, that type of thing. And then it also has the procedure on how to do it in there. So then they can, when 2026 hose testing starts, they can grab the book, and then as they go through the hose, they can write down that it was completed on this day, if it passed or didn't pass, so that's, should be all ready to go for them, for next year. Heather and I have been working on, if you ever heard any of the firefighters or chiefs talk about NIFRs, that's our reporting system that we have to, report all our, emergency calls into. That's going away.
Is that for the state?
It's for the whole nationwide.
Oh, nationwide.
And they're going to something called Nearest, and so it's kind of the same thing. It's supposed to be better where you can like go back into it and you can probably like create like heat maps from your jurisdiction, kind of show where all your calls are going. It's a little more firefighter friendly when doing graphs and reports and things like that. So our goal is to start that on November 1st. It isn't live until January 1st, but you can start early. We just have to make sure that when we started that all our calls are entered into NIFRs and that we start fresh.
You to run them parallel for a while?
Yes, you can run them parallel, but we have a flow chart that we can work with that the state has sent out for that we can work with, so we'll just kind of follow what their guideline is.
I
But
always
it's
get
supposed to be
nervous when
user friendly.
cutting over to a new system. I
So
always like
they-
to run them in tandem.
Well, that's a good point. There has been some test departments that have actually been doing it for probably 6 or 7 months now. And so I think as every time there's a posting each month about nearest and the updates, some of those things are fixed or taken care of. But yes, I agree, just to run a parallel just in case. Let's see, I had excess items of selling engine 11, so the chiefs did a great job on getting that posted and sold and cleaned out of the inventory. Fit testing, so we have the fit and flow testing of our SCBA bottles. So the flow testing has been completed by Oshkosh Fire and Police. And we're gonna try something a little bit new this year with our fit testing instead of having them do it. We had a company, McQueen, drop off a machine that we can do our own. So Coop is gonna be able to do the fit testing of our firefighters. So they just drop the machine off, we have it for a week, and then when we're done, they'll just come pick it up. So hopefully save a little bit of money doing it that way.
Is that like a flat fee rental for the
I
machine?
don't think they were charging anything for the machine, or were,
Yeah,
or was it?
it was at $45.
Oh, yeah, that's right, it was
And then,
45,
yeah.
yeah, so,
So that mass fitting?
yes, the mass fitting, yes. So the flow testing of our bottles to make sure that the proper amount of air is getting through to the mask, that's been done already. Of course, Heather did a great job in Chiefs setting up the open house. That went very well tonight. I noticed it was, I don't know how many times more than there was last year. It was a great crowd tonight, so. Heather's been working on the awards banquet and we got some, things ordered for that.
When do you think that will be?
I'm hoping to beginning of November. I gotta wait for the stuff to come in.
So we, working on scheduling the ladder test. We had a meeting with, prevention specialist Schmid. Let's see, what else do I have on here? The big thing is that, over the last few months, we've, working with our fire officers, we had, retired training chief Peglow, but he worked with me at Nina Menashe, he's also retired. He worked with our officers here on doing, it's called Blue Card, and it's a training, type of training in the fire industry. It's trying to, so everybody is on the same page of how they arrive on scene and how they're, giving orders once they get there, having an action plan. So this has been kind of a step process. So we first couple nights went over terminology, and then we kind of went through some scenes, and the officers did size up. So last week for our training, his final night, Chief Peglow was here, all the officers, and we went around to various buildings in the fire district to actually do size up live. So we'd give them an address, the officers would respond, and the officers would do a size up, do a 360 around the building. We had different things set up to see if they would notice, like people and where the fire was, that type of thing. And then after each one, we got together and kind of reviewed what was missed, what we could do better. So I thought it went very, very well. And the goal is that for the future, is that we all use the same terminology, we kind of do it the same way, so that we kind of create a pattern, and that, it's easier to learn that way and to bring up, new officers in the future. So utilizing that method. And so my goal is to keep utilizing that. We'll probably do some tabletop exercises just to keep the verbiage, the lingo, the scenarios, and so it's all kind of fresh in their head as we go along. So that was done last week, and now Chief Peglow is done with that type of training. So, but I'll continue it as we continue our officer program. So I think that is it for me.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
For old business, old business is then gonna segue into new business. Pierce Manufacturing update, they have asked for a signature to begin building the truck, and I have not signed off on that because the city hasn't, we just first talked about funding, was it last Tuesday? So I haven't signed off on it because I wanna, and that's one of the reasons Sean's here to talk about things, because I don't wanna sign off on it if the city decides they're not gonna pay for it and then we go bankrupt. So, I have not signed off on it. Sean, you wanna come up and you have the next 2 items?
I don't know if I have the first one, I definitely have the second one.
Well, but it's part of growing the district is I think a solution that we have to, well, I think we need to grow the district because it helps everybody's bottom line. And maybe we don't combine EMS.
You want me to speak?
Yeah, come on up here.
I'll pull a chair on the other side.
That way you can hit the other two.
Wait them out? No, he's awake. Well, there's a chair over there.
There's.
I'm gonna be good.
I'll start spreading.
Again, my name is Sean Lancer, I'm the finance director, assistant city administrator for the city of Ripon. I've been there since December of last year. My background, I have an accounting degree, worked in public accounting, focusing on governmental audit and compliance for 7 years. And then I worked 19 years at a community, looking with their budget, and they were contributing to a joint 7 community fire departments. So I have a lot of experience kind of working with fire department intergovernmental agreements. And so when I kind of got brought into long-term capital planning for the city of Ripon, obviously, originally I was told that the fire truck was going to be scheduled for 2027. It was just a slot holder. Then in the last, I don't know if it was 30 to 45 days, brought up that no, it's actually going to come in 2026. And I'm like, so how's it, just started asking how's this going to work. Started reading your bylaws, agreements, looking at budgets. Ellen shared with me late yesterday a 2023 financial statement because I had questions about trying to be able to answer your questions of perspective on how the growing district might work and some of the other concerns that the city has. So with that background, I just wanted to kind of go over some of my initial observations after reviewing kind of from an outside perspective of what I've read. And you guys at some point can correct me or clarify things that I might not be aware of. So on the topic of some accounting budgeting procedures for areas that I have noted that there may be potential areas to be improved. So the bylaws require budget increases of greater than 5% to be approved by member community boards. And so at some point, there was some consensus, I don't know if it was this board or if it went back to some community boards about, needing to order and get ahead of the time frame because there's such a long delay to build fire trucks. From a governmental accounting perspective, ideally, all the communities at that time would have basically approved, this board, and then all 3-member communities would have approved the funding for the truck prior to placing that order.
And our bylaws say that. I missed it in the bylaws because I went back and actually read them, and that's what's supposed to occur.
So, anyhow, so that hasn't happened, I guess. And so, and that kind of gets us to the point here where now we're looking for funding in 2026, and obviously Ripon paying 3/4 of a fire truck is a big dollar amount, and and then reviewing things, I'm like, well, when have we last looked at some of this stuff? And so I started looking online, I started going through city records, and that's when I looked at bylaws, and so I asked Adam, like, so when's the last time, you know, I'm like, I found this agreement that was dated 2024 that the district passed in '24, and Adam's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, I'm showing him this, he's like, well, but they're not signed. I'm like, well, no, they're not signed. And so I'm like, he's like, well, after the district approved in '24, they were supposed to go back to 3 communities to ratify. And so,
And they didn't go to, I don't know that.
I know they didn't go to Ripon.
They did not go to Ripon,
Yeah.
because that would have been my response.
So the last signed bylaw agreement is the 2010 bylaw
The
agreement.
one we amended in 2024.
You know, so that I'm reviewing what the district's intent is to kind of go by going forward, and what the legal approved documents are. I'm like, it's kind of messy. I'm like, there's ways to fix it and clean things up, but I'm like, I told them, I'm like, I'm just gonna have to come here and try to walk you through maybe some of these things. So that's the bylaw thing. When reviewing those details, I found a few, some minor budget allocation errors the past few years with the 5-year rolling calculations that aren't 100% consistent. They're not huge dollars, but just little things that I can go over with, you know, your people that work on that allocation, just to kind of make sure we're on the same page for how that might go. And then a big thing that we always had down in southeastern Wisconsin for community budgets, because everyone down there is right up against Department of Revenue allowable levy limit calculations, where they can't absorb, they can't raise costs with, you know, and everyone's fighting for who gets the small increase of your allowable levy increase. And so down there, the fire district was very proactive in their budget process to basically have all their budget requests would be at CPI plus 2%, which is kind of how, you know, about 2017, I think, is when the levy limit adjustment state statute was put in, that basically says if you have a joint fire budget and your costs go up, as long as the fire department's budget is at CPI plus 2% or less, that amount of that increase is outside of your normal city and village budgets. As long as all the fire board and the communities are on board with that, yes, this is, you know, a responsible budget. And so CPI for 2025 for Department of Revenue is 2.7. So in theory, you know, the 2026 budget could technically be as high as, you know, 4.7% and not impact your local municipalities. But I don't have the history of the town of Ripon, so to know if you guys are up against what your limit is and trying to fund different things. But I haven't been made aware of any discussion that that's happened in the past, or if there's any interest in maybe looking to provide budget flexibility to the communities in looking for capital funding and things like that.
I knew that there was a I didn't know what it was. I knew there was a mechanism, but I didn't know what it was, because this is not.
So I'm just trying to share information so you guys can discuss and try to make decisions and things. So I want you to be aware of that. Okay. My one comment, I guess, for trying to expand the district is trying to brainstorm different ways to make it financially more attractive for communities to say, hey, you know, we're having budget issues, or they have a large capital purchase that they're like, boy, you know, we're gonna have to, trucks are expensive, it's now the time to try to share the cost rather than them buying their own truck or something. And basically the current bylaws say, well, if you're coming in and once we add your equalized value of land improvements in, if you're 10% of the budget, well then you gotta buy into 10% of the assets. So you're in for about $250,000 up front before you pay your operations. You know, I'm not quite sure everyone's in rural, you know, Wisconsin's budget and debt situation are comfortable, you know, potentially borrowing that amount if they need to make that payment. You know, when I had a discussion with Adam at the city, I'm like, you know, we want to try to, my understanding is the board wants to try to encourage ways to be financially flexible to make things work. I'm like, if they're serious about wanting to do this and they don't want to do the whole upfront, I'm like, I don't think it's necessarily financially irresponsible to say, well, if your amount is $250,000 and you know that what your operation amount's gonna be a benefit, you know, if they want flexibility and say, okay, well, if you pay just 10 installments of $25,000 over the next 10 years, instead of having to upfront $250,000, you know, to get you in and to have just, you know, as long as we don't have to open a different station and have all these extra costs, it sounds like, from what I've heard so far, is that would be a way of sharing joint costs, and by expanding the district, it would be better for all member communities as well. So I'll pass out some wording in a little bit here, but I put some kind of draft wording together to consider. Maybe that would be a possible amendment to the bylaws. And then, I guess it's a little bit of a city of Ripon concern, I guess, but it really benefits all communities to kind of know what could happen if, you know, any community would want to withdraw, how would the rest of the community members be protected, and how does the accounting work for that? And so I would think it would be a common thing for, if anyone would want to leave, that the district would require a 1-year written notice in advance, approved by the communities, so that the intention is known, so everyone can plan, discuss, and it's not one of these things that kind of happened with EMS up in Oshkosh, where it's like, oh, well, you're supposed to you have a contract through 2026, and all of a sudden it's like, no, we're gonna cut you off in like 90 days or the end of the year, and good luck trying to scramble to come up with the pieces. I'm like, so I would say that, you know, instead of having that 90 days, you want something to protect all members of the district, to say, you gotta give advance notice of at least a year, you know, and if that's, you know, and if it's, you know, 2 years, it could be 2 years, but it's gotta be at least a year in my opinion. Trying to figure out ways to provide fair compensation to members based on their equity in the department, and provide clarity of how, you know, station land buildings should be valued if a community were to leave the department. So this is kind of, you know, right now the only station is in Ripon, and the question is, well, what would, if Ripon for some reason, or the towns say we want to go on our own, and how would the whole thing go? It's like, well, how would the building be valued and the land be valued? And, you know, I haven't gotten into the book values and things, but when you're trying to look at it from all points of view, right? The city's view, a town's view, and how do, you know, obviously the city's a huge portion, and if that would ever happen, it would be you know, there'd be a concern from the smaller communities, like, well, then what does that leave us, type of thing. So, as that is a backdrop, I guess I'll pass out just a 2-page handout that I can kind of walk through with you guys all, and then you guys can ask questions, because there's a couple this way, couple this way. So, I think that's what I'll do now. So basically, this is at the top of the, I didn't label front or back, but starting with, it says the method for changing bylaws, you know, such is actually written in the bylaws, which is Article 14, which basically talks about needing 3/4 of the member communities, and if this board passes an amendment, then it goes back for everyone else to ratify within 90 days to be official. So I kind of referred to that before. So then the rest of the front page kind of talks about attachment and join the district. And so right after that's the current language, then we talk about how the asset buy-in can be calculated, and so if you're gonna do it, I try to put wording that talk about that the way our budget is currently allocated is based on equalized value of land improvements. So basically your buy-in would be that way. The current language could be interpreted that way, but you could argue that it could be a different method as well, because it doesn't really talk about, other than equal proportionate share, what does that mean? So I try to be a little more specific of how that would be calculated. It also talks about, you know, we don't want to necessarily go through all the administrative work to be a stopgap. If someone says, oh, we just want to join you for 2 years, but then we're going to jump to something else, you know, basically saying if you want to join your department and you want to basically build any equity, you know, the expectation is you'd be at least a 5-year member to get any of your investment or something back. So you can't just jump in, play some numbers game, and jump out and do that. So it's, if you want to be a member, the goal is, you know, to be a 5 to 10 year plus member. So then that wording at the bottom of page 1 just talks about basically using the district's audited financial statement net position. That's kind of your equity. So that's basically your cash balances and your undepreciated capital assets value. So that's kind of what your net position number is, that's on your financial statement. And then depending on if a member came in during the year, and let's say it was next year, but we didn't have the 2026 audit done, but we had a $1 million fire truck, well, obviously we want them to have to pay into a little bit towards that fire truck and not just give them the fire truck as a bonus type of thing. So that's me trying to cover, you know, all the 3 communities' interests and what they've already invested in. Should I stop there, or should I go through the second page right away? Just kind of go through everything first, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so, and then on the detachment side, so this is basically, right now, basically, if, you know, even though the city of Ripon's funded 75% of, you know, 3 decades of assets, and, you know, is looking to make a contribution of $700,000 or so towards a new fire station, you know, if in fire truck, sorry, not.
Per engine, I think.
Yeah, so we're looking to make continuously significant investments from the city perspective into the department. Yet there is this thought that maybe in the next 5 years, there may be a better way to be more efficient with technologies and things, that there may be some potential consolidation opportunities. And no one knows where that's gonna go, but, you know, the city wants to be fair to the current members of the fire district, but it also doesn't want to be foolish to say, we're just gonna invest this, and if this other opportunity comes along, we can't do it for over a decade because we just bought a fire engine. So we're just looking for some middle ground to update the language here. So I talked about the written notice to the district. You know, we have at least 365 days prior to an anticipated effective date of withdrawal, providing the compensation based on a 5-year rolling equalized land improvement valuation, allowing payments in cash or assets to transfer, with 50% being within 12 months. Originally, you know, someone had an idea maybe it's all within 12 months. I'm like, you know, if there's potential, you never know what size communities coming and going. I'm like, if it's 50% of the valuation with 12 months, with the balance potentially due within 24 months, if it's, you know, if the truck values don't work out or whatever happens, or if there's someone, you know, how you do it if the numbers get big. I just thought 12 months might be too hard, so I try to provide more flexibility for all situations there. And then the whole leaving the district question, you know, if the community, I wrote down, if the community leaving the district is the host station, so this is basically currently just the city of Ripon, that community has the first right to the land and building as part of the disposition of assets calculation. and it talks about the 5-year requirement. So I put a few more details down in the actual potential wording here. It talks about the district's assets and things like that, but I just wanted to point out that the building value could be tricky, right? And I don't know if historical cost, depreciating costs, you know, if the city was, I don't know what the net book value of the building and stuff is, but there's obviously building improvements. Like I came in, I see there's cameras on the corner of the building, right? That they look like they're pretty nice cameras. You know, I don't know if those cameras are part of the capital asset list that's in there, but they obviously add value to the building and things like that. And so so my point is talking about, you know, under a scenario, if this would be ever enacted, that whatever the value of the land and building on the books is, if the appraised value would come in larger, you know, well then the city couldn't say, well, you know, we want the building and it's marked down on the books to this as depreciated value, and so that's what the amount is. I just told, you know, city staff, I'm like, it's logical that if the building appraises more, that then you have to assume that they get paid out, you know, that's a bigger chunk of whatever they would get. You know, cause you don't get the benefit by leaving and taking a number that's lower. So if that would ever be something that would be of interest, you know, that, you know, it's like you know, the city, if they wanna do it, they pay for the appraisal, you know, cause it's their ones incurring the cost, and if the appraisal is higher, then the other communities get that much more value because it's only the fair way to do it. Whatever is higher should be the way that the smaller communities would be rewarded. So that's my initial thoughts. I am obviously open to all your suggestions and feedback. I'm just trying to find a way to protect the city of saying, hey, we're willing to continue to invest in the department with the $750,000 borrowing, and knowing that, you know, if something changes, we didn't just throw away $750,000 by trying to put off a fire truck for 2 more years or 3 more years to see what happens, you know, because we want to be a part of the joint fire department. So I'll leave it open to you guys for comment.
Would you be willing, because this is just an initial draft.
Correct, yes.
Would you be willing to set up an ad hoc committee with
Absolutely.
members of the towns to,
Yep. It could be someone on this board, it could be other elected officials, comments from community members if they reach out. I mean, obviously, you know, it's a multi-community, you know, it's for the benefit of everybody.
and
So,
if this is beyond me, I mean,
you know,
it's
yeah,
not my, not my.
so I just pointed out with these 2 pages anyhow, like some additional things, but obviously if something comes forward in whatever, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks to actually be discussed as a potential amendment, I would think that the district would also want to put forward all the things they thought were good ideas last November to also include those bylaw wording changes going forward as well, and
take those in.
and bring those into the same discussion. These are just my new thoughts of specifically attachment, detachment, but there was other things in there that we would also repropose if in a bigger package with other feedback that you have.
Our changes were mostly administrative.
Yep.
Internal controls,
Sure.
that's what we did, the internal controls. Mark?
Yeah, I just wanted to say right away, the recommended change of requiring written notice to this district that has been approved by any municipality looking to detach with, you know, 365 days of notice. I agree with that 100%, just as a member of the fire board here, it would be very inappropriate for a municipality to just detach, but under the bylaws, it appears that would be, they could do that. There'd be almost no penalty, there'd be no, you know,
There's
there's
a
no,
big penalty,
well,
a huge penalty.
And that is
The
the,
huge penalty is you lost everything you
Right.
invested.
everything,
You don't
right,
take any
you
don't have any
out of
and
right.
actually get hurt.
And obviously,
Right.
everybody knew I was gonna talk, but,
Yeah,
No, that's good, you should
No,
try.
you know,
Well, you should.
you're an accountant.
Yeah, numbers,
Do you live in the city, Ripon?
I do not.
Okay. You don't pay any more for fire than I do. We sometimes get in trouble, we're in the fire district and we're on municipal, we're elected municipal officials. When you come here, and I've been on this thing a long time.
Okay.
When you come here, you gotta kind of, we're going to a fire board meeting. Now, in the back of your mind, you've got what we can do as a municipality. But our foremost job is to make sure we have a fire district that works.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter, you know, if the city doesn't have enough money or the, doesn't have enough money, then we don't buy something, maybe. Because if it's over too much, like you said, it's gotta go back. And you have to discuss it with the municipalities.
Sure.
But I get a little bit tired, and I realize the city pays the major part, if you call them the city. The people in the city don't pay the major part, they pay exactly the same as everybody else. And I think sometimes you have to remember that. You have more people, so you pay more in.
We have more improvement values, so we pay more.
Right, you do,
Yep.
but why is
It's
that?
basically capitated,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying.
So what I'm saying is, you know, you can look, and I get this quite often, well, the city pays 3/4 of things, so we should have to say. The city does pay 3/4.
Yeah.
But it's all on capital value, same as the town of Ripon, or the town of Media, or the town of Green Lake when they were in it, or the town of Modoman when they were in it, they all paid the same.
Okay,
Now, those people got out for reasons we don't need to talk about,
okay,
but it's easy enough to figure out. They gave up everything. When the rural district and the city joined together to do the joint fire district, the assets were 50-50. Because the rural had all their stuff and the city didn't have as much as we had, and it was all old. So, I get what you're saying, and if you took it now and you break it down by the dollars from each municipality, that's what it is. But I think if you look at it as a equitable value as far as taxes are concerned, it's fair for everybody. And as far as the city not knowing this was coming up, I can't believe that. I'll bet I couldn't go out there and find 10 people that didn't know we were gonna buy a new fire truck.
no, they just didn't know it was 26, they thought it was 27. So that, but they knew that was coming.
Yeah, I mean, I get it somewhat, but on the other hand, I don't get it. And I get a little nervous, and, you know, this gets into political things again. I get a little bit nervous about Big Brother dumping the little guys.
Well, obviously, yeah, I mean,
You know, and
it's a valid concern, and that's how I was trying to
And
propose
I
language to
appreciate
cover
some of the
that.
stuff you did here,
Okay,
but, so that's my say for now, unless somebody kicks me in the, and gets me going. That'll do.
Well, would you be willing to serve on you were very willing to serve on a group to work on this, to have language that's agreeable to everybody?
I don't necessarily know that I wanna change it.
Oh.
No, I mean,
Can I ask a question?
huh?
Can I interrupt you? Can I interrupt you?
Sure.
So is your concern mainly on the detachment side? So if we
My
change,
concerns on the detached.
so if we change
And
the
he had,
first,
you know, as far as people buying in, giving them 10 years to buy, I don't have a quarrel with that at all. I mean, I think it's a smart thing to do.
yeah, that's where I just wanted to start, at least, right? Because there are 3 parts, right?
Yeah.
If we just start at the first, it seems like you're good with page 1, right?
Yeah, well, I
Attachment.
wanna read it again.
Yeah.
No, you're
Because I read the agenda
You're
4
good.
times and I missed the budget text.
So, yeah, because I agree, I think the detachment one is the controversial one. But if we could agree at least on like the first section and then keep working on the detachment one. And
Yeah,
then we can find some way through.
And as far as starting committee, everybody goes for the committees. We can't get anybody to work at the dumps, they nothing about serve on a committee.
Well, I'm just saying an ad hoc committee, something that meet 1 or 2 times and then done. I don't sit on enough committee meetings, I'm
Would
gonna
you
start.
want me on one of those committees?
Well, I would, because you have an opposing viewpoint, and I'm trying to figure out what,
That's
you know,
how
you know your community's concerns more than I know your community's concerns or your budget, so I'm still trying to get feedback from the other two communities of, you know, what your concerns are, what your fears are, what the history behind why things are the way they are. I mean, I'm just trying to find a way to move the group forward, and so I'm just looking for more feedback.
Oh, no, not you. I'll come back to you. Would you or Lyden be willing to work with, Sean?
I think Light would be a
Lyden would be very good.
contributor.
Okay, Doug?
I just wanna say, it's been a long time since we really looked at the bylaws, ignoring the administrative stuff from 2024. I think just looking at it and having another discussion about our joint fire department and how we should be able to work together and providing some more flexibility to our municipalities. I mean, I'm not,
Such as,
well, I don't know how it's gonna merge. We have to be prepared
wait a
to
minute.
add.
I don't know that we are gonna merge, and
I'm talking about adding on.
you're talking about merging with other fire.
Yes, I'm talking about the fire part. I'm not
Okay.
talking about EMS,
Okay,
okay? I don't even know where that's gonna go, if that's even
No,
gonna be a
no.
part of this. But we have to be flexible, so down the road in 5 or 10 years, our document, our bylaws, but none of us are here anymore, that bylaws can help guide anything that might happen. And we haven't really done anything, except administratively, for probably a long time. So maybe ad hoc committee with some of the towns, just kind of reading through the bylaws and looking at this stuff and just talking about it.
would either one of you or maybe Wes be willing to sit down?
I could, but I'll tell you, I'm gonna be mighty busy for another month.
Because you're harvesting? Could Wes do it? Would you do it?
I could,
Would you?
I don't know. I'm not going to make that decision or commitment tonight.
Okay.
I'm just looking for points of view and ideas.
And I, you know, I just thought we really worked hard to get the bylaws that we have when we started. It was a real struggle, and it was everybody put into it. And we had detractors and guys that were jumping for joy because they thought it was a way to do it. And some of the stuff that's in there is so people weren't jerking anybody else around. And I still think some of them are good, and, you know, we change things, you know, all the time, something doesn't quite tweak my trigger, so let's change it. And it works out worse than it did before, you know, that's the way it is, that's, you know,
But when
and
did you first do
I'm all
these?
for,
20 years ago?
what's that?
20 years, are the bylaws like 20, did you do it 20 years ago?
Well, there was initial ones that got amended in 2010, so
Well,
I
that's
mean,
15, but the district's older
Older
than
than that.
15.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember when we did.
it's at least,
You were before I
it's at least 35 years, I think, not longer.
No.
Oh,
The district,
Isn't that what-
the district
90s?
became,
No.
the district became a district in 2004.
That could be about.
Sounds about right.
With the current
Because it was written up in 2003 from what I could find.
So did Ripon just partner with other communities prior to that?
It was,
5 different
No,
districts.
like in the beginning, it was the city of Ripon Fire Department,
and the Ripon Rural Fire Department.
and then the Ripon Rural Fire Department.
No, it was,
Together.
there were two fire departments, Ripon Rural and the city of Ripon.
Yes.
The stuff was stored at the city, and they provided the firemen. So the fire, they worked both ways. City of Ripon could use any of our stuff that we wanted. And at the time, and it got, before we got together on this, the end of the ladder truck that knocked it off. The one with the ladders. We had a barn fire, and they decided they didn't want to get burned up and tramp, I think was the fire chief.
I was in, so I had no
You
idea.
were not, I know you were not. he said, this is bullshit, somebody's gonna get killed, we'll get the fire department. So we wouldn't do that, city department, is that what it was? You know, and after that, it would go out. But we could use each other's stuff, and the city actually had the bays down there, but they got too small. That's when we got into that's when it became Ripon Area Fire District. Before it was two. So we had our own equipment, the city had their own equipment. We put them together when we moved down here, and everything's been bought. Since then, anything that was bought was bought. But it took, we did spend a lot of time getting this all set up. And the problem was, nobody wanted to, the rural fire department was worried about a Taj Mahal fire station that they'd have to pay for. So they put this all together before we actually built it. And then, you know, we had to vote on the land and what kind of building we're gonna do and all that. So that's all. And that was, you know, I don't know.
2004, what I could find from the bylaws was, the bylaws were all, the drafts and everything were done in 2003, and then in 2004 is when you guys signed it.
So it's 21 years. But things change, technology changes in 20 years, things change. It's not to say that past practice isn't valuable, but we did have to change how administratively we ran.
And that's all fine, and I don't have any problem with this, that people wanna join this, I don't have any problem with that. I think that is too much to ask, you know, all in one, you know, but I think if you're opening a tavern, $10,000 for a liquor license, they ought to stretch that out too, so, you know. So I don't know where we sit.
I have a question on, recommended changes, any equipment transferred or accepted is credited with an estimated fair market value.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that when I did my summary. But I was basically trying to say that if a community wanted to come, you know, in addition to buying into our assets, they may have assets that have value that our current people are looking for. And so there should be some acknowledgement that if there's stuff that's not duplicate, that we have value that we want to bring in, that they can credit that towards their buy-in of assets, rather than just saying, what's our number, find our number and give us cash. If, you know, if they can provide value and we want to work with them and give them fair value for their things that we want, then they can bring with them, rather than saying, we just take cash, buy you, because I just think that's not working in good faith.
Yeah, and fair market value is kind of one of those terms that has, like, my question initially was, well, who makes this estimate? How do you get a value? But when you say fair market value, there is kind of a precedent that, oh, you go to, you know, Kelly Blue Book, or you go to an auction site and find it comparable, and you say, okay, here's this and this.
This is, they say, we think it's worth this, you say, yeah, that's below right,
Yeah.
and you say, you know, we're trying to make this work, and you find a way to cut the deal right. But I just was trying to acknowledge that if there are existing fire department, they probably have some potential assets to be a part, that's not just a cash fund.
Would someone from Ripon be willing to serve on an ad hoc committee, like Jonathan or you? Yeah. Jonathan, oh, and then you'll talk to Leiden? Sorry, Doug.
That's okay.
Then maybe do you want Kevin to, because you work in a combined fire department.
Yep, we did the same thing, so they could bypass some of the budget with, because Nina Menasha was merged, so I agree with that.
I just don't know the history of the town side and.
Apparently this one does.
Yeah, well, and again,
Somebody's got to remember.
well, and I wanna just make sure that everyone that's here is protected and feels that it's something, you know, and if wording has to change or something changes, then we gotta see if, I just wanna see if there's a way to improve it all.
And I wanna also, from what I've been watching, with Oshkosh dropping all of those municipal governments, everything is just crazy there with EMS. And I think that Ripon may have to step back for a bit, and I might be talking about the term, might have to step back for a little bit to figure out how that's going to affect that EMS service. Take a step back, because who knows, I mean, if they're all contracting with private contractors, they're not gonna get a good service. And it'll be, okay. Well, it won't, because,
Well, or it's gonna cost an arm and a leg
It
plus.
is.
well, there's that, but
Well, it might be more to get a higher service, if that's not a high enough service for them.
I used to sit in dispatch when they would have to dispatch ambulances, but every time there was something in the southeast corner of the county, and Waupun would be, because they had a private, that was not the most efficient ambulance service. So I think there's going to be, for at least a year or two, some confusion about what's going on the EMS side, which is why I have said before, we're gonna continue to operate, we're gonna continue to do our budgets, and we're gonna continue forward. Because I'm not gonna worry about that right now.
I'm just looking for a way forward and try to make sure that everyone gets a voice, and it's not, so I appreciate everyone's feedback today so far, so.
So you wanna take some time and think about who could help,
Think about what?
who could help with that,
Oh.
committee?
Look over the bylaws. take
I mean, I'm thinking it's,
Read it.
it's 45 minutes to an hour, maybe each of the next 2 or 3 weeks, just to have people throw ideas at me and.
When do we
and-
have to have our budget done for your guys' budgets? Cause I messed up on that.
I think, you know, I do all this numerical stuff, so I took,
Want to pick a date now?
I took a picture of everyone's
Yeah, I think.
meeting dates for the next month and a half. Let me just see.
We're having our final budget hearing November
Okay,
19th.
so that's, okay.
And will be budget workshop early October, followed by a November
So we
decision.
would have, we could still do it small.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you, as long as you guys, if you had a special meeting, you could do it. You probably could still do it on your regular scheduled 11-4 meeting. It's pretty tight.
I'd rather do it sooner than later.
So I think Ripon will be on 11-11.
Well, we could meet on the 28th and then skip November.
I mean, for our better work.
Yeah. Talk about
We
putting
break
this
the
on, if
district
there's,
and approve your budget.
if you guys can come to a consensus on this, we could put it on the agenda and then do our budget.
Well, and the thing is, you know,
What does this really got to do with our budget?
yeah. Well, it has to do with
It has to do with
Ripon,
Ripon's
with
budget.
Ripon's budget, if they wanna, the hope is that we find some way to, I guess, protect Ripon's $750,000 investment, whatever, and Ripon doesn't end up deciding to try to delay the fire truck because if you delay it, you'll lose it, whatever else, and, they're just trying to find a way to be able to approve the truck, to say, get it in 26.
I do not understand whether there's any protection. I mean, why they need any protection. I don't, I may be dumb, but I just don't get it.
So there's some in the community that in the last, 6 months or a year have been talking about, why would the city continue to invest in the fire department if they're not if they don't know if there's gonna be in 3 to 5 years an opportunity to become more efficient with some type of a consolidation. And I don't know, so I don't know how strong a contingent that is. you know, but right now, but you understand they contribute
But I've been in
for.
government for a long time. You know, when people say, well, I gotta worry about every constituent, you don't. You do what's right. And somebody's gonna like you and some people aren't gonna like you. But I don't get, I don't get why we're trying to protect the city. I mean, I don't get where the protection is. The city's in the fire district for so much. I don't understand why all of a sudden now, except that this EMS thing is floating there in the wind. You know, they knew when they signed up, and the city was just as big a part of it as the towns were. They knew what would happen if they got out of the district. That's why it was made the way it was. So if you're committed, you're committed. Like getting married, only you can't get it, and you can get a divorce, but it's gonna cost you money.
And I understand that perspective, and I also understand the perspective of the city wanting to continue to fund the district and not start deferring capital assets, you know, to wait for to figure out what they wanna do. So they don't have to basically give away $750,000. You know, and again, I don't know where it's gonna go. I just know that there's been a concern brought forward by the city to say, how do you, in good conscience, vote to continue to proceed when there's other things being discussed? And I'm like, well, I'll try to write something up that tries to protect the city and also protects the towns. And so that's why I'm here with
I appreciate the work you're putting in this, and I'm not mad at you. I'm a little bit more black and white, and to me, I don't get it. I just don't get it. You know? And it still boils down to, I think more community-wise than sometimes the city, I think, gets. And everything depends on the community, the community. Whether you're in the city or you're in the towns, or you're not even in the fire district. You know, from Matoma, your kids are going to school here. You know, we're supposed to be working together. And I sometimes don't.
And obviously, to make any change, I mean, you guys are gonna, I mean, your board's got to approve bylaws too, right? So I mean, it's not that, I mean, if you say no, then it's gonna be no, and then that puts it back to it and say, well, are you gonna fund the fire truck or not? You know, and I'm just trying to bridge, so.
It just boggles my mind that this comes up now when the fire truck's coming in April. It's been out here, what, 3 years since we ordered this thing?
Over a year, for sure.
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Yes,
Three
they
years.
started in 22.
And I bet you can't find a person in the city, unless he's under a stump somewhere, that doesn't know we were gonna buy a new fire truck. And now all of a sudden, we're gonna start making payments and, oh my God.
Well, I think, if I can't, because I'm not an accountant.
I'm not either, by
Yeah.
any stretch.
But I think we have, I think the issue is that while we do an operational budget, we haven't done a capital improvement budget. And Kevin's been really good about trying to move us into that capital. Yeah, that thing. And so what happened was, the previous administration never had a capital improvement plan in the city. Because I would ask every year, where is your 5-year capital improvement plan? So they weren't putting money aside to do roads, they weren't putting money aside to buy equipment, they weren't doing any of that. And so you now have an administration, as what Sean talked about, is doing a capital improvement plan and then budgeting on a yearly basis with expectations for purchasing things. And I think that's the conflict that we're coming up with now, because this is my, I think, 4th budget here, Heather. I did one with Saul, and I think this is probably a 3rd. And this is the first time we've talked about, after our McMahon strategic plan, a capital improvement plan, which is why we put in those radios in the budget and why we put in the turnout gear. And that's small capital improvement, and we've heard Kevin talk about the fact that we should replace gear, like 3 turnout gears every year, so that we have a rolling replacement. And I think that's the tension that we're feeling now is because we never had a capital improvement plan. We never had a plan for when we were gonna buy a truck. And that's the tension is that fair? Is that a fair?
Well, the city knew that it was gonna have to come with money in 2027. It was just that they weren't prepared for, that it was gonna be 26. And I'm like, so, but then at the same time, I see, that there's a fire EMS or an EMS study that talks about what would it be like this, that, and it's like, well, it's a study that, I don't know if it would ever happen or if it
Right.
makes sense, and I don't know,
Right.
what, the town's, potential impacts plus or minus are with that,
Mhm.
politically, financially, because we haven't, as far as I know, the city hasn't reached out to even talk about it, because it doesn't know what it's even, has no timetable yet.
Right.
Because our elected officials have just been presented at this point, and then everything in Oshkosh knows what's happening.
Right.
So, again, I'm just looking to try to keep us compliant, make sure we get proper authorities to, whatever the bylaws are gonna be, if it's gonna just be the changes from last year, if some of these get incorporated, how we get everyone on board with whatever they're on board with, and if it doesn't help address the fire engine issue, well then that's, ultimately that's a Ripon issue, right? I mean, they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do when they talk in the next meeting or two or whatever, but I'm just trying to take corrective input and try to help as much as I
Doug,
can.
did you have something?
Yeah, I had a brief thought here that may not be very good, but if we're looking at proposed detachment issues, or the joining, they're kind of near each other on purpose. So we're saying that you have 5 years before you vest, but that's also given them
5 years, what?
to vest, to get anything out if they leave.
If you join, you don't get anything if you leave in less than 5 years.
Right, so, I mean, to me, that's a way for a community, if they wanted to join with us, to like, we're gonna pay a little bit, and we're gonna just kind of test the waters, and if we don't like it, we've paid for fire coverage, we can just leave. And I think that, I think that's something going forward, if we're going to seriously try over the next 5 years to get someone to come back in here, and I'm not sure how that's gonna happen, if it would happen, we have to have something in there to say, you know what, if you're here 4 years and you decided really it's just not working, you're just going to leave, but you paid for fire coverage. I mean, I think that's what we're looking at here. If you look at it kind of that way, instead of like, oh no, Ripon wants to leave, or we're looking to get a divorce and we're trying to do it cheaper, I think that's the wrong way of looking at it. We're still here and we still really want to be a partner with you guys, but we just need it to be a little bit more flexible for us. I don't know what the budget's going to be in 5 years or 10 years or even next year, how we're going to pay for things, but that is a bit of flexibility in case something happens. I don't know. I don't see it on the horizon, but I think we just want it to be a little flexible, that's all.
So will you talk to Layton about this? Okay, and then what I can do is give Sean Lyden's contact information and Kevin's contact information. You will have our contact information. And it would be Rita's. Yours. You just got.
What time are you gonna have these meetings?
Well, it could just be, did you do email daily or?
He does
or-
it.
You're not an email person?
Yeah.
You're- Okay, well, I gotta ask, right? I don't know.
Gary just wanted, he's.
Okay.
Some things are
He's gonna flip one.
Okay, well then, it's probably whatever your schedule is gonna be, that we'd accommodate.
Because it's
If
important to have the street that you have his street,
Yeah.
that none of us have.
Yeah.
And
So,
If it's gotta be early mornings
Turn
or,
myself.
No.
And we will discuss this at our board meeting Monday night.
Sure.
To see who would,
okay,
I'll walk
and
right
maybe-
down. Yeah, any concerns, whatever the comment is, You know, I mean,
Whatever the comment is.
what, right? I mean, seriously, I mean, it's truly, what ideas do you have, right? I mean, any idea could be a good idea. It might not be a traditional idea, it might be an old school idea, it might be a high-tech idea. All ideas are welcome, you know, and then people can, if that's how you discuss, right? You know, you take the best of everyone's ideas and see if there is a consensus that makes sense. But ultimately, any community could veto a final version because that's violence. It's just the way government works.
That's the way government should work.
So,
It would be nice to see it work at Coca-Cola. Because it works everywhere.
Well, one thing I can say now, I know fire districts around here, and they're all getting along a little better right now, but to pull off the fire district is probably impossible. But you need to go to Green Lake, if they got an engine that's going down and say, hey, you know, you wanna, we can help you with that.
Because
Or vice
I
versa.
would love to be able to say to any of the neighboring fire districts, hey, we have a method, you know, here's what we want to have available. We're gonna, you know, discuss this, what do you guys think about these new attachment amendments? Pull them in, discuss it, and say, hey, we're looking to make these changes. Is this something that next year or the year after, then we can get another municipality in? Because I think honestly, the reasons that they left, yeah, exactly. The reasons that they left are water under the bridge now, and we can, again, back to communities, right? We have communities around us that we can all
We have,
give a hand to.
we have municipalities around us that are our community.
Yes, sure.
That's the way. to
Yes,
go.
thank you. Perfect wording. Yes, we have municipalities that, you know, may have
Part of our.
good reasons to come back and we can help them and they can help us, you know, so.
Okay, so, let's look at our calendars. Do you want to try to meet on the, and I think this is how we walked the truck 4 years ago. We met on the last Tuesday of
I
October
think so.
because we had the pricing until the 31st.
I think so.
Do you want to meet on October 28th, or do you want to keep our regular meeting on November 4th?
Earlier.
Oh, November 4th is election day.
No, that's not gonna work.
I would rather do a special meeting earlier,
October 28th.
October 28th. That'll give us time to ratify our budget and then get it out to municipalities.
Okay. Does that work for everybody? October 28th at 7?
Assuming it's a Tuesday.
It is, and then we can skip November and we can December. And maybe I'll bring Christmas
That'd be great, huh?
28th.
28th at 7 p.m. Well, thank you, Sean, for coming to talk to us. Thank you, everyone, for a respectful conversation. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Thank you, Gary. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Oh, not too bad, 8:13.